This is probably one of the fastest methods of getting pickled beetroot with horseradish. Make sure that you watch the recipe entirely in order to get the best results. Now, before we start doing anything else, start making your pickling liquid. So for this we need about 150 milliliters of white wine vinegar. In this situation, I'm actually not using white wine vinegar, I'm using apple vinegar, but whichever the vinegar you prefer will do the job. After adding the vinegar in the saucepan, you want to add some sort of flavors in there. And I'm going to get 1 bay leaf, about 15 peppercorns, and I also have here mustard seeds, and I'm gonna add about 1/4 teaspoon. Now obviously the vinegar is quite strong and you can't add it over your beetroot just the way it is. So we need to add some sugar in here. First I'm gonna go in with 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna bring it to the boil and taste it, and most likely I think we're gonna need another tablespoon or a half tablespoon just to have the right balance between sweetness and the acid from the vinegar. In this situation, I'm using brown sugar, but you can go with white if you want to. I just feel like the brown sugar has got like a stronger punch and it's got some sort of like richer flavor. Now the pickling liquid goes on the heat and we'll bring it to the boil, and by doing this, the liquid will get even better flavor from those spices that we just added. After you brought this to the boil, the sugar most likely will be evaporated, and it's the time when you want to taste, see whether you need more sugar or not. Most likely you'll need a bit more, but it all comes to taste. Yeah, it feels like it's just a bit too sharp. Obviously you want to have that vinegar flavor to be quite strong, but we need some more sugar in there. So I'm gonna go in with another half tablespoon, and I think that should be just perfectly fine. Bear in mind that the beetroot itself is kind of sweet, or at least that's how I find it, so it will balance just perfectly. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this to the side and leave it to cool down because I don't want to add it hot over the beetroot. Bear in mind that the whole room probably will smell like vinegar and it's quite strong, you know, once it evaporates, but you should be able to cope for a few minutes. Now, to make this process faster, I've got here cooked beetroot. Also, because I want this to be done in a few hours and not days, because if, let's say, you're gonna get thick slices of beetroot, that will take longer to pickle than obviously if it's grated. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grate the beetroot, and also I have here some horseradish. I'm not gonna use the whole thing. If you don't like it, simply skip it. It's quite strong, but it works well with beetroot, and it works well with whatever you're pickling. In most situations, it works. When you do the horseradish, you might be crying a bit, depending on how strong it is, or maybe not, because we don't need to do too much. So we might get away with it. So I added almost half, is all I need. It feels quite strong and it already kind of like, it's punching me in the face. Now, once you get at this level, you're gonna put in the pickling liquid, but make sure that it's cold. I forgot to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which I'm gonna do now. Mix everything in, make sure that it gets dissolved properly. Straight in with the liquid. Now mix everything together, even if you don't put it into a jar, and if you put it into a good sealed plastic container, that will do the job. And I've got another recipe right here if you want to go further into pickling, which is how to pickle red onion. Nice and easy. See you in the next one.